Alright, hello Daelynn. So this will be your video lesson for your lesson today, which is June 5th. So this is your lesson for that. Alright, so I have your lesson plan just in front of me. My computer's off to the side here. So I'm going to go top down, just go through everything on your lesson plan and make sure it all makes sense so you know how to practice. So we will start with the G major scale, and that is we'll do our right hand first just because that's what we normally start with. So the key signature for G major is F sharp, which means there's going to be one black note, and it's going to be F sharp. So we start on G. We'll do our right hand first, and I'll say the finger numbers as we go. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now 4 on the F sharp. Now tuck 1 under, 1. Now we keep going. 2, 3, and 1 again. 2, 3, 4 on F sharp at the top, and 5. Now we go back down. 4, 3, 2, 1. 3 goes over, 2, 1. 4 goes over, 3, 2, 1, and 3, 2, 1 at the bottom. Now let me do the whole thing one more time without talking, and you can practice along. Just watch my hands. Here we go together. Do it all again with our left hand. So the only real difference is that your finger numbers are opposite, right? Because in your right hand, you have finger 1 at the bottom, and in your left hand, you have finger 5 at the bottom. So that's the real only difference. And then the other thing is you're just going to play it, instead of up here, you're going to play it down here. So 2 octaves lower. So I'll say the finger numbers for this first round. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now 3 goes over, and 4 goes over, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1 at the top. Now we go down. 2, 3, 1 goes under. 2, 3, 4, 1 goes under. 2, 3, 1 again. And you just go to 5 at the bottom. Now I'll do it one more time without talking. Play along with my hand. 1, 2, here we go. Okay, and the second thing we were practicing for our warm-ups was triads. So remember that takes note 1, note 3, and note 5 from your scale, and we make a little beautiful chord out of it. So let's try and figure out what those 3 notes are. We know the first note, pretty easy, G. Now to find our next 2 notes, you just skip 1, because that would be note 2. Now we have note 3 here, which is B. And then you skip note 4, which is C, and you have note 5, which is D. So you have G, B, and D for your triads, and when you play them all together, it makes a beautiful G major chord, or G major triad. So remember the pattern that we want to focus on here, you're always keeping 2 notes, and you're just moving the bottom note to the top. Kind of like you're flipping it upside down, right? Or maybe not flipping it upside down, but what's that word that means flip something, like inside out or upside down? If you said invert, you're totally right. If you didn't, that's okay too, because it's a hard word to remember sometimes. But inversion, that's what that means. It means when you take it and you flip it, at least in this context. So what we're doing here is we're taking our chord, which has G on the bottom, and we're inverting it. So we're taking that G and we're gonna flip it, invert it, so the G's on top. And now that works out for us pretty well because this position here is called first inversion because it's the first time you flip it. So there we go, first inversion. And then this next position here, where you flip it again, now we have B on the bottom, put it on top. Second inversion. And then at the top, let's see if you remember what this is called. Do you remember what this position is called? Where you have the tonic on the bottom. So tonic is the first note, remember? What do trees have that are underground? If you said root, you're totally right. So it's called root position when you have the tonic, which is the first note of the scale, on the bottom. So that would be G on the bottom. So the position names, we have root position, first inversion, second inversion, and root position again at the top. And then we go back down through second inversion, first inversion, and you're back where you started with root position at the bottom. So there's root position twice, top and bottom. So that is called solid triads when you play them all at once. Don't worry, you don't have to do them that fast. You can go much slower if you want to. Let's look at left-hand solid triads too. And the good news is these are exactly the same in both hands except for one tiny thing, and we'll talk about that in a sec. So root position, same thing, first inversion, second inversion, and then root position again at the top. Then you go down, second inversion, first inversion, and root position again at the bottom. So the only thing that's a little tiny bit different between your two hands on this is finger 2. So for both hands in root position, you use fingers 1, 3, and 5. Then on first inversion, you use finger 2 in the middle on your right hand instead. On second inversion, you use 2 in the middle on your left hand instead. And then when you're back to root position at the top, you're back to 1, 3, 5 in both hands. But why do we use different fingers in different positions? That's a great question. The answer is because it's just more comfortable that way. Remember, in your hands, when you flip them like this and you're at the piano, they're playing different notes at different times. So in root position, the notes are all spaced out evenly. So it's okay if we use 1, 3, 5 on both hands. But if you look on first inversion, now the gap from this note to this note is bigger. So instead of using these fingers, which is a big stretch, you use this finger instead. For your left hand though, it's okay to still use that finger because that's not where the stretch is. Then here, now we have that stretch in the left hand, so that's why I use finger 2 there. Hopefully that makes sense. Make a note during your lesson, your video lesson today. If you have any questions about anything I say, make a note on a little piece of paper so that you remember to ask me questions about it in your next in-person lesson. Okay? So let's move on now. We'll go to the next song in your lesson plan here. So let's go to the second song. Let's go to Mozart's 5 Names, which is in this beautiful book here, your lesson book. So go ahead and grab that. We're on page 23. All right. And whoop, that's not the right page. Hold on, I must have written down the wrong page number. Or is this the wrong book? No, lesson book. Yeah, that's the right book. Hold on. Oh my gosh, that's not the right book. That's why. Okay, you can fast forward through this part. There we go. How about I get the right book, Daelynn? Is that a good idea? Okay, so we should be in page 23. Haha, there we go. Helps to have the right book. So the goal is 3 lines, hands together on this song, which is just about the whole song. You only have 1 line left after that. So let's start with line number 1. We'll go nice and slow. Finger 1 in your right hand is on middle C. Finger 5 in your left hand is on the C below that. So this is your starting hand position. Actually, I think I can even move this closer and you can see better. Hey, even better. Okay, so this is our starting hand position. So both hands are starting on the C. Let's see if we can play it together and count. So I'll count us in. You play along with me and we'll do the first 3 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Second line. Start on D. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here comes 2 notes. 1, 2, 3. Left hand moves up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that was the 3 lines. That was homework for today. Make a note, thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, or thumbs down, how you feel that went for you. And if it's thumbs down, make a note of why. Was it the rhythm? Was it the notes? Was it the counting? Was it the tempo? Something else. And if it was thumbs up or thumbs in the middle, great, we'll move on. On this last line here, okay, so the last line is only right hand, and you are pretty confident and pretty great at reading notes in the treble clef. So I'm going to say, homework on this new song is to have the very last line ready for next week. So that would be 1 extra line. That's homework number 1. Homework number 2, my friend, is adding in your MF and your F and your P. And make a note, a little extra homework is to tell me what those mean by next week. So what does MF, what does F, and what does P mean? See if you remember. Okay, so let's put this book away. So homework, add in line 4 and add in your P and your F and your MF and tell me what they mean. Okie doke. So let me see here. Let's go to your theory book now. We're on page 28 in your theory book, which is awesome, by the way. It means you're doing your theory consistently and things are making sense. Okay, so drawing rests, and we're doing this song here, Climbing to the Moon. Pretty fun. So what we're focusing on here is drawing rests, but mostly counting, actually. So it is a drawing exercise, but you need to know how to count it so you know where to draw them. So let me just get my little sticky out here so I can draw these for you, because I'm borrowing this book. It's not mine, so I can't write in it. Alrighty. So as we know, when we're drawing rests and sharps, when we're drawing rests and notes, they all have different values to them. So here we're talking about half rests and whole rests. So if you remember, one of them is going up like this. Oops, I didn't draw that very well. And one of them is going down like this. And it can sometimes be a little tricky to remember which one is which, because they look pretty similar. They're kind of the exact same, but flipped upside down, right? So how do we remember which is which? I have a good trick for you. Let me actually just get something harder to write on so it's not flipping around here. Okay, so this one is the one that's a half rest, which is worth 2 beats. Okay, so the way you remember it, it kind of looks like a hat. So it's a half rest and half rhymes with hat. That's how I remember it, at least, and it seems to work pretty good. So this one is equal to 4 beats, and it's a whole rest. But it also looks like if you were the person wearing the hat and you were walking along, it looks like a hole you could fall into, right? So remember, if it looks like a hat, it's a half rest, which is worth 2. If it looks like a hole, lucky for us, it's a whole rest, which is worth 4. So just think about what it looks like to figure out how many beats it's worth, okay? So moving on now, let's look at this page in your theory book, and we're drawing half rests and whole rests. So the question we need to ask ourselves before we know which one to draw is, how many beats do I need to fill in? So let's do these first 3 as an example, and then the rest will be homework for you to do before your next lesson. Ooh, I got 2 there, I think. Did. Okay. 1 and 1 more at the end here. Alrighty, so the best way to do this is to just look and see. Let's start with the most open space, because that's easier to count. So the left hand has definitely more space than the right hand, because you can see there's actually nothing at all there. So we're going to start there. Here you go. We're going to start with the left hand because it's more open. It looks more open to me. So now we need to figure out, we can see there's nothing in any of these measures. So we need a rest that's going to be for the whole value. So let's see what our time signature is. 4, 4. Okay, so that means I have 4 beats I need to fill in. So ask yourself, is that going to be a whole rest or a half rest? Say the answer out loud. Okay, and hopefully you said a whole rest. So it is the one that looks like the hole you could fall into. So on your page, should look like this on these first 3 measures. And you want to always draw these on the middle line. So if it's a whole rest, it's below the middle line. If it's a half rest, it's still on the middle line, but you draw it on top. Okay, So now here we need to figure out, do we need a half rest or a whole rest? And they kind of show you here that there's stuff in the measure. So we know we have beat 1 and beat 2 already. So that means I need beat 3, and beat 4. So how many beats is 3 and 4? Well, it's just 2. So do you think a rest that's worth 2, would that be a half rest or a whole rest? And if you said half rest, you're 100% right. So that's the one that looks like a hat. And it's going to be on the middle line with your little rectangle on top. Like that. And then that's your example. So we did these 3 together. Your homework is to complete the rest of page 28 by next lesson. So I'll leave this here. You can take a screenshot of this if you want, or you can just pause the video. And that way you'll know what to work on for those. All right. And then I only have a few minutes left to do your video lesson because I have another lesson right after you. So this is what I'll conclude your video lesson with, but check your lesson plan, my friend, because I'm going to put some really good info in there for you. Anything that's from today, from your missed lesson that I'm going to do a video for, I will highlight in your lesson plan online so you'll know that it's different from today. So quick recap, scales and triads, practice those along with the video. Mozart's 5 names, to the end with dynamics. Finish page 28 in your theory book. Make a note of anything you have questions on like a sheet of paper or wherever you'll remember. And then just make sure you check your lesson plan online because I'll put some good info in there for you too. And as you noticed, there were a few questions throughout this video, so make sure you write down the answers because I wrote down the questions and I will ask you next week, so make sure you're thinking about those. Okay, well, I'm sorry I missed you today, but I hope this video lesson was fun for you. It was fun for me to make. Happy practicing, and I will see you next week. Bye, Daelynn. Have a good one.